What Brad Holmes has done with the Detroit Lions in just 3 seasons is absolutely incredible. It's what we've been looking for as a franchise forever, and Brad Holmes has done something that is just truly remarkable because what you have is you've got Dan Campbell, the coaching staff, all that, but you gotta have the players. And against the Chiefs, you looked out on the field and it's like, we've got the players. We've got Aiden Hutchinson. We've got new guys like Brian Branch. We've got a good quarterback. I mean, all the things that you were looking for. So in this video, I'm going to go through how Brad Holmes has built a championship roster. And I'm not going to go through every single move, but there's 4 or 5 moves that are just so incredibly huge for this franchise that maybe got overlooked or that we forgot about. So the first one, of course, and this is the easiest one, and I'll pull up a graphic on a couple other ones, but the first one, of course, this whole thing was launched by the trade of Matthew Stafford. It was exactly what we needed to do, but it'd be one thing to just trade Matthew Stafford, but we get Jared Goff, first round picks, a third round pick, and we turn that into, because Brett Holmes is such a good drafter, we turn that into great starting players. And oh, by the way, Jared Goff, I said it when we made the trade. If Jared Goff can be good for us, then this rebuild, this whole thing is going to take off faster than we even know it. And guess what? Jared Goff's been really good for us. Here's the move, though, that we forget about. Remember that we did not re-sign Kenny Golladay. This was a big decision for Brad Holmes. I think it was one that he really kind of stewed on and just didn't know what to do, wanted to do it, maybe not, because remember, we had nobody at wide receiver. It was like, oh my gosh, if we have Golladay, maybe we'll be good. So Golladay, we don't do anything with him. He leaves, signs a 4-year, $72 million contract. And this is where Brad Holmes was so smart throughout this rebuild. He lets Golladay walk. And today, Golladay is not in the league. Okay, so that was in 2021 that he signed that. So just a couple years later, Golladay is not even in the league. And so what Brad Holmes did in free agency was so smart. That first year in 2021, he was so patient. I'm going to read off some of the free agents that he ended up signing in 2021. I think this really set the foundation and was great in the way that he handled it, because we weren't ready. So why go out, spend a lot of money on free agency? Why do that? Because it's just not we weren't ready. So Romeo Okwara signed a 3-year, $39 million deal. And that was a kind of like, hey, let's get that defensive end and get him locked up for a long time. Because remember, Romeo Okwara was coming off of 10 sacks and he's dealt with injuries. So that one kind of hurt. But other than that 3-year deal there, everything else was really low risk. Remember, Brashad Perriman, because remember, we have no wide receivers at this point. We've got a rookie St. Brown coming in, but we have no wide receivers. So Brashad Perriman, 1-year deal. He didn't end up working out, but who cares? It was a 1-year deal. We're just trying to get bodies in there. Jamal Williams, signed him to a 2-year deal. Turned out to be a critical piece, stabilizing the franchise type of a move to get Jamal Williams. Next guy was Tyrell Williams. Remember him? 1-year deal. He doesn't play much. Fine. Fine. It's a 1-year deal. We're just trying to get somebody. Khalif Raymond, signed him to a 1-year deal. He's now here, just signed a contract extension, just an absolute glue, important guy that he gets that first year in free agency. The next one, Alex Anzalone. I remember when we picked him up as like, all right, this guy's from like the Saints. I think he's okay. He has done nothing but improve. He just signed another 3-year deal. He's a staple in our defense. So he comes in here, absolutely finds and it can locate a guy. Let me pull this up for you. The next one, Josh Hill, tight end, doesn't do much at all. I think he retired. Jalen Reeves-Maybin, still, he's back with us. Tim Boyle, that didn't work. Charles Harris, signed him to a 1-year deal. He plays really well in 2021. Injured last year. He's back and starting. That first free agency year I thought was so important and was really awesome. Randy Bullock, kicker. Damian Ratley, never did anything. Don Muleback. Okay, so those are the guys that we got in that first year of free agency. Then we go to the draft, and this is where he has knocked it out of the park. So he took that Matthew Stafford trade, which really launched the rebuild. And let's take a look at the draft picks. And this is what Brad Holmes is so good at, and this is exactly what we needed to do. Be patient in free agency, draft well, and then this last year in free agency, you can really go after guys like Cam Sutton and CJ Gardner-Johnson. Let's take a look at his first draft year. Penei Sewell, crown jewel. Aleem McNeil, a great pick. And there he is, Amon-Ra St. Brown with the fourth round pick, a top 5 wide receiver in the National Football League that you grab in the 4th round. That's the type of stuff that Brad Holmes is just, I mean, that's probably one of his crown jewels as a GM up to this point. Aiden Hutchinson, no brainer, falls to us. Remember, he should have went number 1 or could have. Instead, he goes 2. We take him. Josh Pascal made a great play last game against the Chiefs. Kirby Joseph, James Mitchell, haven't seen much of him. Malcolm Rodriguez, I mean, right, that 2022, Aiden Hutchinson alone, I mean, he's a Bosa. He's already turned into a Bosa in game 1 of his second season. I think the guy's a star defensive end. So if you didn't draft anybody else but Aiden Hutchinson, that draft would almost be worth it. I think he's that good. But Jameson Williams, don't know. Can't wait to see what happens there. Malcolm, I mean, right? That's awesome. Then 2023, this is the one. Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell. We saw these 4 play, and what I loved about the way that these guys played was against the Chiefs, hostile environment, first game, rookie year, all that stuff. These guys they look like they belong. They just absolutely look like they belong. And Brian Branch is going to be his crown jewel that he looks back on and says, I drafted Brian Branch in the 2nd round. What's up? That was huge. So let me know in the comments the move that you were like, huge. Forgot about that. And oh, by the way, Hendon Hooker. I mean, that's the best quarterback, or could have been one of the best quarterbacks in the draft. We just kind of quietly snag. So now we have Jared Goff, our present and future, right? I don't think we just get rid of Jared Goff. Oh, but we got Hendon Hooker just kind of sitting there. So the most important position on the field, Brad Holmes has got depth there now. So all across the board, Brad Holmes has really done it. And so then this year, when we're ready, draft picks come together, then you can go in free agency, get a CJ Gardner-Johnson and Cam Sutton, and boom, the roster is together. And so Brad Holmes, again, when you can marry the coaching staff, the culture, the innovation, the toughness of Dan Campbell, and that's a whole nother video. But at some point, you have to have the players. And so you put that all together, and now you've got a winning championship level roster. And I really do think the Lions all of a sudden have that roster. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. It's so weird. And it's like, I still don't believe it in some ways that the Lions have a championship roster. It's like, do we though? It's like, I think so. I really do. Offensive line. I mean, come on. Offensive line is incredible. Defensive line's coming together. Linebacker, secondary, wide receivers. Jameson Williams, once he gets back, I don't see a real true weakness. So again, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and we'll see all of you on the next.